Hey guys, welcome back to part two of our northern pike carving. Now, a couple questions I got asked was, why is this my last carving? Well, again, I told you guys in winter it's way too cold for me to do anything out here, and yeah, I ain't gonna be out here very long because this guy can't handle it. Anyway, I'm gonna turn you around. All right, so here we got our northern pike going on. I carved in the gills. You can see that going on. Opened up the mouth. All I did was I drilled inside with a hole saw, hole, whatever the hell this thing's called. You know, one of these guys. Anyway, just open it up because there's going to be a fish in here and you'll never see it. I just wanted to give it some more depth in case I decide to put the fish in that way or whatever. It doesn't matter. He's going in there anyway. So now I sanded it down with an 80 grit, and then, you know, because cedar is hard to get smooth. I'll tell you that. It's very hard to get smooth. It's not the easiest kind of wood. But this is a fish. You show me a fish that's not rough in, you know, in the wild, I'll tell you you're full of shit. So, yeah, there'll be some sand marks, but, so I sanded it down, then I went down to 220, in fact, just to smooth it out, which is fine. And what I'm going to do now is, well, you can see the crack here. It didn't seal properly, and I put some wood glue in there, but the problem with that is it didn't go all the way through, or it sunk in, whatever. So I'm going to go inside. I'm just going to mix up some epoxy, and I'm just going to drop it in there, which will make it solid. Then if I have to sand it down, that's fine too. And then the next step will be putting our fish scales on. So fish scales, I think this is all I got for the biggest one. This is the one that I made the last time I showed you guys. That's kind of an oval round with a little bit of a tail. And that's going to be punched into each one of them. I'm not going to go with burning. I'm going to punch this one because I want this to be sticking out. I might just even fuck with that a little bit. Anyway, so I'm going to keep on going. All right, guys. So I'm just going to use, this is the gesso paint that I have. It's for acrylics, but I mean, it's what I got to prime my fish with. So the other day, I went and punched like 1,000,000,000 scales in there, did the gills. The eyes I'm making, and they're drying right now, so that's going to take a little while. It takes up to 72 hours or something like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint this, and it's not going to show I'm crazy, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's dry. And then we're going to put the fins on. All right. So we're done putting on our primer, just enough to, you know, let other paint stick to it. And what I did was I took some plexiglass, which is, I can't remember the name of it, they call it, whatever, it's not important. We'll call it plexiglass. And I carved out some fins, and then I just took our Dremel tool, or our Fordham, and we cut out some ridges in it. And it's somewhat transparent. The thing is I wanted to keep it sort of like, you know, not overly see-through, but we're gonna put these guys in our fish. So this is our back fin, which goes like so. You can see it. And then we got our other ones. So we're gonna start off by taking some epoxy. 5-minute epoxy is good enough. It'll last. We're gonna make a good amount of it. We're just gonna use it all up here. It's probably at the last of our epoxy itself. An old paintbrush. Give it a mix for a couple seconds. This stuff is pretty easy to use, and once it's in there, it's in there. It stays pretty tight. Just get you a bit. It stays pretty good. So a couple seconds or a minute or so of good mixing. And now the 5-minute epoxy, this is the dollar store stuff I'm using. Use Gorilla stuff. I don't know, Gorilla Glue, I guess, has epoxy. Use whatever you want. It's the one I have. You could use Crazy Glue and baking soda. I just find this sets up really good, and it stays in there. All right, so make sure you got it all good and swirled up there. Then what we're gonna do is just take a glob of it. We're gonna add it to our tail. Of course, this will be our first part. Okay. And again, this stuff, it sets up pretty fast, so you got to work with it. I gotta make sure I'm doing it the right way. And then if there's any gaps in there, we will set that up with some baking soda and crazy glue after. But for now, this will work like that. So those are the two, that's the one fin there. And then we have the two side fins, which go, I have marked out. So same thing, we'll just add some epoxy in there. You know, just give it a good amount. I don't think overflowing is good, because this stuff, it's hard to paint over after, I think. Well, I find. But just make sure you got enough in there. Now we're gonna have a lot extra, which is okay. And then I have it set so that I know which way I want them. That will be one. And whoop, this will be the other. Grab it. Oh, maybe I went the wrong way. I think it didn't matter with these ones. You just want to get them in there. You want to have them standing up at least, because it will set pretty fast. And then I don't really know the names of these fins. That's a shitty thing. I told you I'd probably get at least some information one day. But today, no. Okay. And then that's one thing you gotta watch, because if it tilts on you and they fall and they set, that's what they're gonna set like, and you don't want that to happen. And then you got these two guys here. We'll put a good glop inside there. I mean, it's possible that, you know, you could sand this stuff down too. I mean, not possible, it is possible. It's just that you don't have to, and you won't. And then we have one more to do, but it's on the other side. And unfortunately, the epoxy might just run out, or it might harden up faster than we want it to on our fish. And I don't want that to happen. But it's just setting up pretty fast. So you can see we have our fins in. It doesn't take very long, again, for this stuff to set up. It's pretty much setting up as we speak. This is already hard. This little loop that I have here is already hard, because like I said, it's only 5-minute epoxy. And then it takes a little bit less than 5 minutes to put together. Like I said, we'll fix that with some baking soda and crazy glue if we have to after. Let's see how that works. All right, we're gonna let that set. I'll be right back. So here we go. These are the fins that I did, and they're crazy glued on there. That brings the fish out to life big time. So next is waiting for the eyes to cure, and then I'll show you that in a second. What I have are these molds that I bought. Danny Harris mentioned to me that they're good for Barbie dolls and that, but he also says that they made fish eyes, or the guy made fish eyes out of them. So what I did was I just painted a backing, so that's the back obviously, and then there's a little black in the middle and then some greens around it, and then I poured the epoxy in, but then I just dropped this on top of it. And then here I just made some clear ones. You can see I got two sizes, but they're kind of tacky still, so I know it's only been, I think, since 8 o'clock last night that I did it. So again, this is part 2. Part 3 will be painting. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll be back for part 3.